Hey, my name is Douglas Thompson. I'm an airsoft gun tech, and I'm going to be showing you a quick, maybe not quick, but how to maintain your MP7 with just a basic field strip and, basic maintenance. So first of all, you'd want to pop these two body pins, these two right here in the back. Now, they don't always have to be on the left or the right. Just make sure and look for the side that is, well, I'll pop these out for you. The side that is round like that and not like with the notch in it, that's the side you want to punch out. So you just remove these pins, and they're the same length pins, doesn't matter. And actually I think on the real steel version, these two holes right here would house these pins while you're doing maintenance, but I'm not sure why they didn't make them the same size. I'm thinking about just drilling them out just for fun, just so I can actually do that. But just make sure don't lose these, because these are very important. Then you're going to want to flip the gun to sort of middle position so you can hold both sides of the airsoft gun, and you want to push up on the two tabs, and I'll show you where they're located in a second if you can't already see. Now the bolt carrier, the charging handle, and the recoil spring, along with the entire stock, are going to be removed for this. You can set this aside for now, and you can remove the bolt carrier and recoil spring. If it comes out with it, that's fine. Now these are the two buttons I'm talking about. There's one right here and one right here. This is actually the magazine, or not the magazine release, sorry, the stock release to extend the stock, but you need to push that button as well. You can set that aside for now as well. This is the bolt carrier and the recoil spring. The recoil spring doesn't usually really need much maintenance. Just wipe it off, maybe re-grease it. As you can see, there's quite a bit of goopy stuff on here, and that's actually white lithium grease, which I recommend for gas guns, because it's for metal on metal contact, and you can actually just wipe this good stuff off. Really, I didn't have to maintain this gun, I just did it recently. But pretty much you'd get in there detailed with a paper towel or just whatever, clean it off, and you can use a Q-tip and get into some tighter spots. And I'm just going to do a really quick thing. Just make sure and get in all the grooves and whatnot. Just get the majority of it off. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's a very small bolt, but it is an SMG, more along the lines of a pistol than it is a rifle in terms of its overall size. So I'm assuming, you'd assume that there'd be a very small bolt in it. Wouldn't be some huge thing. This is not the CQB bolt, it's a regular bolt. So what you'd want to do is, since on the internal frame, you can see there's a little bit on there, it rests in there, and it, it slides back and forth at a very high rate. So you want to just kind of get the basic areas. I'm opening up. Now this is not regular white lithium grease. This is a different kind. It's actually not harmful. This particular brand and particular type is not harmful to plastic or rubber parts. So you can actually use this for your entire gun. I don't recommend it. So don't take my word for it, but I do use this for metal on metal contact parts. I don't use it for rubber or plastic, but I'm fairly sure you can actually do it. I'm not sure. Yeah, plastic parts, metal to metal. It actually does not say anything about rubber, so I'm still not sure about that. But so you can sort of grease up just a little bit on some of the parts that are going to make contact with the sides of the frame on the inside of the receiver. Just kind of lube it up on the outside and whatnot, and you can lube up the top as well. It doesn't really matter, because the charging handle is the only thing that kind of slides on that, and it's not a reciprocating charging handle, so it's not really necessary. If it were a reciprocating charging handle, I mean, I would say possibly lube up the parts around it and stuff. But just get on the parts that you see wear, pretty much on the bolt carrier. Any part that looks like it's worn means it's coming in contact with metal quite frequently. The guide rod is fine. You can lubricate this as well, but it's kind of overkill to do that. I recommend lubing up like maybe the first time you use it, and then just kind of leaving it unless it gets incredibly dirty. You can actually also get inside the receiver if you have small enough fingers and just wipe down the inside of the frame. As you can see, actually quite a bit of black gunk came off there. Or you can, use some kind of a tool to get down there, but I use my fingers. I guess I have small fingers, but I can get pretty deep into there, and I use the other side, this port right here, where the shells would eject on the real gun, to get kind of deeper in there. And I also use a Q-tip to get even deeper in some spots. It's kind of tough to get every bit of it, but just get as much as you can. You can also pull the piston back, and this is also sort of overkill because this is something that actually I'm not going to do this because this is not recommended by me or anybody else, so I'm not going to do what I just said I was about to do. I apologize if you were left wondering. I guess I should explain why I'm not going to do it and why it's not recommended. But you don't want to put silicone oil pretty much anywhere in this gun other than the magazine and just a very little bit, because KWA, if you don't know about it, they're pretty infamous for their buckings, especially on their gas blowbacks. I'm not too familiar with their AEGs, but if you put too much silicone oil in the gun, just anywhere, and it spreads to the bucking inside, the bucking actually swells and makes it to where BBs will not pass through, and you'll get double feeds and lower velocities and problems with your accuracy. So that's why I'm not going to suggest doing that. I was actually kind of from my experience with WeTech gas blowbacks and a few other companies, I would do that. I would put a little bit of silicone oil in here and just kind of make sure it's kind of looped up. But for this gun, I do not recommend it. Anything KWA and gas blowback, if it's stock. If it's like a different type of bucking or something, a special bucking that it does not get affected by that, by all means go ahead and do that. I think that would be fine. But okay, so and then you'd also need an unjamming rod. I'm sure your gun either came with one or you have one laying around. Do not use a metal unjamming rod, only plastic ones. What I like to do is cut little rectangular chunks of paper towel, and you can actually slide it in here like thread and needle. And I'm not too good at this one hand, as I'm not with most things, except one thing, Anyway, yeah. So you get that on there, and since the bolt carrier is out, you can actually go all the way towards the bucking, which most people would not recommend doing, but you just kind of spin it to kind of get it down in there. And if we're lucky, we can see. Just keep it spinning it, because that kind of wipes out the barrel. Let's see if we can see it on the other side soon. Okay. Normally you wouldn't want to do this because you have a possibility of damaging your bucking, but I'm confident in this gun and I've done it many times and it hasn't damaged anything. So I got all the way to the end, as you can see that from that poking out. Now I'm on my way back out, and we got not much grime, just a very little bit on the end right there. that's good. I mean, it means my barrel isn't dirty, but it's bad for the video because I wanted to show you how dirty it gets. And when you're running biodegradable ammo, which I recommend if you're playing outside or pretty much anywhere, just it breaks down a little bit quicker. I've never actually witnessed one break down because I've never sat down and looked at it for a year or 6 months or whatever. But I just like the idea of running biodegradable ammo, biodegradable animals in my gun, ammo in my gun, because I just think it's that much better for the environment, and it is more expensive, yes, but I think it's worth it. But I guess my main point about the biodegradable ammo is that it leaves a larger amount of residue in your inner barrel, so you want to clean your inner barrel out after every game, especially if you're someone that runs through a lot of ammo in one day. It's pretty important, and you don't want to jam it up, because I'm pretty sure, not positive, but this is either a 6.03 or a 6.05 inner barrel stock, and I think most standard barrels are like 6.08. I'm not sure about that, don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure it's a tighter inner barrel than the majority of guns you run across. Anyway, so at this point, so you cleaned off your bolt carrier, you cleaned out the inside of your gun where the bolt carrier rests, you've cleaned out your inner barrel. It's time to reassemble the gun. So you want to line up your charging handle. You can actually lubricate this too, but I mean, it doesn't really need it. If you're worried about, you know, if it's dirty or something, you can actually get one of these unjamming rods, or some of them. If you file down the round part to make it more square, you can actually kind of get it in between. Let's see if I can get this lid up here. You can actually get it inside there, or if you can just find something that'll go in there, and you can actually clean it out. And if it bothers you, if there's like dirt in it or something, but you don't need to. So you line up the top of the bolt carrier. Where is it? That little with this notch right here, and there's also a little spot in the back of the stock where see that little hole right there, where the end of the recoil spring would rest. So that goes in there, and I make sure and destroy my stuff on film, just so there's proof that I'm an idiot. Okay, so yeah, it goes in that guide, or in that hole, and then you want to place the charging handle on the top of the bolt carrier. And my phone is dying, as usual, because it's a piece of crap. Okay, so I got it on there, and it's probably going to undo itself in a second. So I'm going to line up my receiver. You want these two ends to match up where they would correspond inside the receiver. That's pretty much the only thing you got to watch out for. And the bolt carrier usually follows along pretty nicely. Okay, so that looks like it's in there. And you want to align the bolt carrier towards flat. And there goes my bolt carrier. It went inside the receiver because it kind of shot off. And normally, you know, if you had two hands, I'm making this look difficult. But if you had two hands, this would not be a difficult task whatsoever. And I do have two hands. If you've never seen any of my other videos, I have not invested in a tripod, and I will. And I know that people that watch my other my other videos are probably wondering why I haven't invested in one already. But that's because I'm cheap, and I like to invest in airsoft stuff. So you want to put these pins in, and be careful not, if you watch my previous video, you can see that one of these twisted, and sometimes it's due to vibration, and sometimes it's just due to lack of paying attention when you're putting in the pins, because they'll go in. Kind of wipe off the excess bolt carrier. They'll go in pretty much any orientation if you push them hard enough. But there's these little, if you look right there, that little silver thing protruding from the pin. It's hard to see because this isn't focusing. But there's a little silver pin, and it's actually kind of like a spring, I guess you'd say. And if that gets caught with the pin kind of crooked in there, it's very difficult to punch out, and you have to kind of do it with force. But normally you should be able to just punch it out with pretty much anything. So you can put them in on either side, left or right, it doesn't matter. Just push them down, and they pop in, and that one's good. And same thing with the top. And make sure they're aligned like I previously stated. Pops in. And then you'd want to check for your function. Make sure that everything's working. And it feels smooth. Make sure there's not too much excess on the outside of the gun. You don't want dirt sticking to your stuff. And you have a maintained MP7, at least for the basic field strip. So if you have any questions, let me know. If you have any suggestions for future videos, I guess throw me a shout out. Or not a shout out, but a suggestion. And I hope you learned something from this video. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Thank you.